If doctors denied it, then who initiated it and why now? More significantly, what was altered following that evening with Mendeecees? Overnight, social media became a courthouse. Some hurried to stand up for Tamar, claiming that she was being unfairly singled out. Others started to wonder about the timing, the stillness, and the sudden emergence of purported legal discourse. At the same time, a new story started to take shape. One thing implied this was about control, damage management. And who was attempting to get ahead of the story rather than just rumors? The reason it was considerably more explosive was what was left unsaid. There are no official records, no court papers that have been verified, no public medical statements, just reports, sources, and mounting conjecture. Fans began scrutinizing old footage, replaying interviews, reading between lines that might or might not have existed, and analyzing body language by the hour. Every hesitation raised suspicions. Every quiet moment turned into a declaration. Suddenly, the question was not whether anything had happened, but rather why the story seemed to be changing so quickly. Was someone attempting to get ahead of a story before it became widely known? Rumors of court involvement and the purported test report leak started to circulate. Critics sought explanations, supporters took sides. And the conflict became so heated that even those who had remained silent were being drawn into the discussion. Because everything changes. Reputations are called into question. Motivations are scrutinized. And a night that began as gossip abruptly transforms into legal action moment, the possibility of legal action. Even as a rumor enters the scene. Anything far more significant. And that's when the real narrative starts. Not with what has been verified, but with what people think will happen next. It wasn't a sudden change. Began softly, almost too softly for the majority of people to hear. In the hours following the story's initial circulation, Tamar's name was all over the place. Not because she had said something novel, but rather because people started to reinterpret what she had already stated. Initially, sympathetic fans began to ask questions. Comment sections that once offered a delayed, tentative sign of support. And in the midst of it all, one name kept coming up. Mendeecees. It seemed subtle at first. He was not being specifically accused of anything. They had inquiries. He was there that evening, but why? Why did the narrative appear to change after that? Why were there suddenly rumors linking legal whispers to medical claims? The tone shifted. Variations of the same headlines started to appear on social media pages and online. Some said that certain rumors had been refuted by doctors. Some even hinted at legal action, while others suggested that a test report had been leaked. There were no documents displayed. There was no public confirmation of court filings. However, the wording alone was sufficient to trigger alarms. Supporters didn't wait for verification. They never do. Screenshots went viral. They rewatched the clips. Frame by frame, old interviews were examined. Individuals started making connections between things that might not have been related at all. Additionally, the greater the fear, the more one question dominated the debate, the more it grew. Why was the story still changing if the doctors actually refuted the allegations? At that point, Tamar's previous sentiments started to resurface as evidence that people utilized to back up their own judgments. Her past interviews were replayed with renewed vigor. Each pause was scrutinized. Every moment of feeling was reframed. She appeared perplexed, according to several viewers. She appeared calculated, according to some. Some people think she was misinterpreted. Others believed that something was purposefully omitted, and Mendeecees' name persisted throughout the entire discussion. As stated by following stories that suggested legal talks might be taking place behind the scenes. Online buzz and conjecture intensified. Once more, there were no official documents, no public declarations, and only repeated assertions that something was underway. That was sufficient on its own to influence the narrative because the tone shifts when people think attorneys are involved. All of a sudden, everything seems less sentimental, more calculated, and more serious. The story gained additional urgency from the possibility that a test report had been released, even if it was only suspected. Nothing happened. Why would there be legal talk at all? Fans started to inquire, why deny anything if nothing was wrong? And why did the tale continue to expand rather than fade if nothing was real? The conjecture developed into a heated argument, with some viewers accusing Tamar of allowing the story to get out of hand, and others vehemently defending her, claiming that she was being unfairly singled out and that rumors had taken on a life of their own. The third group questioned why Men's name continued to appear even if he had not made an official remark. Because silence is never neutral in situations like this. It formed its own narrative. To some, it appeared to be restraint. To others, it appeared to be strategy. And to the loudest voices on the internet, it appeared to be confirmation. All of Tamar and Mendeecees' interactions, both past and present, were suddenly re-examined. Old pictures, public appearances, and seemingly insignificant occurrences were now interpreted as hints. Fans conjectured about timing, intentions, regarding what might have transpired behind closed doors following that evening, and the purported release of test results only served to stoke the flames because no one was able to confirm it. In the internet era, rumors turned into reality so fast that people talked about it as if they had seen it, even though no one could confirm it. Some bloggers even went so far as to say that legal action was unavoidable. Others asserted that the matter was already being addressed in private. Still others suggested that the truth was being withheld to prevent negative reactions. All of it was unconfirmed, but once it got going, it couldn't be stopped. Tamar's quiet during this stage just made the rumors more intense. She didn't provide an explanation. She did not publicly confirm or refute any of the allegations, and her silence became a headline in and of itself. Mendeecees, meanwhile, didn't say anything, didn't do any interviews, didn't post anything on social media, and had two supporters. Critics saw that as deflection, while saw it as dignity. Fans who actually didn't know what to think anymore were in the middle. What had begun as worry had now become something more serious. Story that was propelled by momentum rather than facts, with each post feeding the next and each rumor building on the previous one. And as each hour went by, the story became more dramatic, with people discussing intent instead of just what had happened. Accountability about who stood to lose. At that point, the discussion went too far, because when legal terms like court case, leak, and report are used in stories, the stakes shifted. Suddenly, this was more than just celebrity rumors. It seemed like something more significant was happening, something that would have actual repercussions. Even so, one fact persisted. Nothing had been formally verified. Number records had been made public. No accusations had been made. No medical declarations had been issued, just reports. Simply gossip, merely a rising storm of conjecture. And Tamar and Mendeecees, two names connected by perception rather than evidence, stood at the heart of it all. One thing became evident as the days went by. What had happened that evening was no longer the focus of the story. The point at hand was not whether the rumors were real, but rather what people thought happened later.